I have a very special guest. This is Shawn from Intentional Carnivore. That's his YouTube channel. And Shawn, you have a great story with your carnivore journey. So why don't you start telling us a little bit about it?
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me on your show and give me the opportunity to share my story because it excites me. I'm passionate about what I'm doing. So, um, I don't, how far you want to go back because it can get long, it can get interesting. So, as far as my journey into carnivore, I started carnivore April the 17th of 2022. There wasn't anything special about that day. There wasn't, it wasn't, I didn't see the light that day. It just happened to be the day that I had kicked that can down the road long enough and decided it was going to be the day that I was going to start and I'd had enough. I had spent the last 3 years of my life laying on a couch, like extreme depression, uh, I had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I had been a pre diabetic for 25 years. I had hypertension. I was on three blood pressure medications. I have gout or had gout. I was taking allopurinol and colchicine for inflammation and gout issues in my joints. I had sleep apnea. I quit breathing about 13 to 17 times an hour. Man, the list goes on and on and on. I think probably, as I've mentioned with other folks before, I think the absolute worst is the depression. And that's probably the biggest non-scale victory or victory overall that I've had. Um, and I was when I started at 457 pounds. Um, I say around because I could have weighed more, but I couldn't weigh myself because I didn't have a scale big enough or that would go high enough to be able to actually get an accurate weight. So it just read error. And so whenever I finally ordered some scales, got some scales, and went to my doctor and was weighed on his industrial ones or whatever, it was 457 pounds, and all I would do, I couldn't walk hardly. I couldn't walk to my car without being out of breath. I couldn't take a shower without having to sit on the side of the tub at 39 years old. I was just in horrible shape. Let myself go, and I was depressed to the point I just didn't care about life anymore. I would just lay around and listen to Joe Rogan podcast, and that's about it. Play games online or whatever, PlayStation or whatever. Um, And one day I was listening to Joe Rogan and I heard him and Rhonda Patrick doing an interview. And Rhonda Patrick is not a fan of carnivore. However, Joe was mentioning, the things that he had benefited when he tried carnivore.
Hmm.
And it kind of got me curious and got me to thinking. And so I started just thinking about it, researching about it, and come across a Dr. Ken Berry video. And when I did, I thought this guy was crazier than the rest of them. He's a doctor and should know better, right? I I spent 12 years working EMS and studying the body, so I know how the body works. I didn't know anything about nutrition and the key points that puts it together. So listening to Dr. Berry, the more he talked about the body, I knew the man made sense. I, so the more I listened, the more intrigued I got, and I knew that I need to try this. This is what I need to do. What could it hurt? From where I was at, anything would be better than where I was at. So I'm laying there, and like I said, kick that can down the road. And I'm a believer. I'm a man of faith. So I rolled over on my knees and just prayed and asked God to help me. And that's kind of what led me. Ultimately to April the 17th was my day. And I said, enough's enough. I'm doing this. It was right before Easter weekend. We had a family dinner planned for the following weekend. But that was the day that I was ready for my life to change. And I said, I'm not waiting until after the family dinner. Me and my wife discussed that. Um, and I'd used every excuse I had, I feel like. And April the 17th, it changed. And that's my long kind of sort of story into finding carnivore and starting carnivore.